folks, Steve here. How you doing? Hey, ran into a trimming issue and this was my solution. Just throwing that out there for all of you. You may run into some weird situations trimming, and here's a possible solution that I think looks okay. So let me show you this window that I'm trimming out. Okay, so here's this window. I had to add tapered jamb extensions because old wall, 170-year-old wall, and I basically plumbed it up, but the wall actually kicks out that way and the window is set to the wall, so everything kicks out that way. Therefore, I had to thick taper here all the way up to an eighth all the way around, and then it thickens back out here. So anyway, that was my jamb extension to get everything out. So my trim more or less lays flat then, so my casing all the way around lays flat. And then we have this actual trim detail. So you can see this trim detail, basically it's like a chair rail. All right, it is specific to our house. It was in our house when we moved in just a few rooms downstairs, nothing upstairs. It was very plain, and we liked the detail. When we went to look at like modern chair rail is a little bit smaller and not as detailed, and it certainly doesn't have the details that this one has. So there's no chance in matching it up. So we went ahead, contacted an Amish hardwood guy. And he actually has a source that makes knives, so he can actually shape his own trim. And so we had him actually create the knives. I had a sample of it. So they created the knives, and I was able to, it's like $1 a foot. After I paid $200 for the knives, then it was $1 a foot to run it in solid poplar, pre-primed, sanded, pre-primed. It's like, wow, I'll take 800 feet of it, $800 later, I've got a ton of this trim. I've done a lot upstairs. I've trimmed out a few rooms that we've been doing downstairs as we've renovated, and so now I'm doing this window. Okay, so that's the trim. So that's an overlay over top of all the flat stock. Now, the problem I ran into is this. I have, oh, hello dogs. So I have this windowsill right here. This windowsill is actually new, but it's fabricated out of an 1 16" material, so it's like a 5/4, maybe almost like a 6/4. But it's fabricated out of that, slid in there, caulked in place, so everything's good to go there. And it's exactly what was there to begin with the exception of I had to cut the tails off in order to get the drywall in because we were having all kinds of problems. So I just hacked off the tails, got the drywall up, figured I'd repair the sill later. But the sill was hard to repair, and I was able to just slide it out and replace it with a brand new sill. One thing I did not think of, because I was just replacing in kind what was there, and this window I believe was flat trimmed. I don't know if it had the detail on it or not. If it did, I can't remember exactly what they did, but they may have had more room because I furred the wall this way, and they may have had more depth. That's probably what happened. So, because of my new wall being forward of that kind of that dog ear, right, that receives the trim, this is the problem that I had. That dog ear was not thick enough to support this overlaying trim. It was just, the trim would be proud of it. So what I did was I simply just proposed, and she accepted, the homeowner here, my wife, and she accepted that I just run it by the windowsill. And so this is actually a single piece. You can see that there actually are no breaks right there. And what I did was I took a careful measurement, long to long, so I had it cut, and then long to windowsill. Made a mark, windowsill, 1 16" thick, made another mark, and then I took it to the table saw with a scrap piece, and then I figured out exactly how much I had to cut in order to get my trim to just slide over with whatever was left that would just run past the window trim. And so I did that. And so basically I just did a number of passes with my table saw at the right height, using my miter gauge to run this straight through. And then this is what I ended up with here and what I ended up with over there. And this will all be perfectly paintable and will look seamless once it's caulked and painted. So just interesting little idea for a trim issue that I ran into, and it seemed to be kind of a viable solution, and it looks pretty good. It looks intentional, it looks craftsman-ish, if you will, in that it's kind of a unique detail at this point, and it seems consistent with what we have going on, that it doesn't look like it's just, like it stuck a piece up there just to hide a gap or something, which I think we've all done at some point or another, depending on the level of house you're working in and the level of expectation. But this looks good. This looks good, so I'm happy to have this. So it wraps all the way around, and this trim is then officially done for this window. Now it's a chance to fill nail holes, caulk, paint, and then we're done here. All right, well, hey, thanks a lot for sticking with me. If you would like to subscribe, I appreciate it. It's free to you, and it helps me out a lot. And you all take care because I know you deserve it. All right, take it good. Have a good one.